All right, sit back, relax. It's time for another Laneway Talks.
Good morning, Rob. Welcome to another episode of Laneway Talks. How are you?
I'm wonderful today. Thank you, Vince. Thanks for having me.
Mate,
how are you?
I'm pretty good. I see you've sent me an email to go under instructions. We need to discuss this today. So let's start off with that first.
Yeah, so, a little bit of background on that. I'm in a group of collective bands, which is E11 Live, Loud and Heavy, which is run and organised by Ash Robbo, who's an artist he's one of the Virgin Soldiers alumni, actually.
Okay.
And it's essentially a group of bands that are playing all the way around Australia. They're more heavier bands. And Ash put this up. He mentioned, because he listens to Laneway Talks, thanks Ash for the support, and a lot of the guys from the 11 Live, Loud and Heavy group listen to Laneway Talks, which is good, because it's got some great subject matter. And he brings up the Spotify subject, and it goes, are you told that you must get people to pre-save your upcoming releases? Now, that's kind of how it starts. What is the actual reason for pre-saving? Have you been told that it's the only way to get on Spotify release playlists? Who told you this? Would it surprise you if you found out that Spotify doesn't even see or know about your pre-saving efforts? So that's the first part. So I'd just like to sort of throw it over to you, Vince. Now, I'm a little bit vague about the whole pre-saving process. Is that something that you've noticed or you know about? Or you could expand further for us?
Yeah, look, we do know about it. We don't promote anything to do with Spotify anymore, in a sense that do the pre-save. That'll really help your new release radar or whatever, getting you out and getting them to push you. What's very evident from Spotify is there is no clarity to anything. So if they ask you to pre-save, your question in that is very good, because who told you to pre-save it and what are the outcomes from pre-saving it? Nobody would know. And if you did get something on there on Spotify to tell you, it'd be kind of vague, and it'd say it might put you in front of more people, and that's part of the process of breaking yourself as an artist, or a label breaking an artist. But I tell you what does work. So they say a pre-save, but I'm listening to several Laneway music artists who have got regular releases. They will come up in my new release radar. So that definitely works. So that says that what they're looking at is that if I listen to one of our band's Font, or I listen to Southbound Snake Charmers, or I listen to Sideshow Annie, if I'm listening to them regularly and they're picking that up on my profile, and that's Spotify, when they release a new song, it will definitely come up in my new release radar. So that's for me. I know that happens because I test it regularly, and it happens. So that's great, but how great is that if you're not getting, that's only as good as you getting a lot of listens. But if you're not getting a lot of listens because you're trying to break, well, then it gets back to the old question of you need to viral. So you need to viral, yes, within Spotify, but you need to have that viral effect within your audience. So it needs to be pushing out to your audience, need to be pushing out to their friends, who push out to their friends, and you've got to push them to Spotify to listen. So do you start to see that 360 there that I'm explaining? So something definitely does work on Spotify, and that's that. The problem I find is that trying to get to that audience first on Spotify, or get you an audience on Spotify, is so difficult. You can spend money, you can cross-collateralise with other artists and try all these things, or YouTube, and have in the YouTube description the Spotify link, or in the meta description, or in the Insta, or in the threads, or whatever, but it doesn't seem to translate to Spotify. So the pre-save, I don't know that we don't promote it because we obviously don't think it works.
Sure.
what is important is that your audience are listening to your songs regularly each week. So that might be 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then the release radar will pick it up when you release something new. If you're an artist that's rarely releasing anything, well, that's a problem then, isn't it? It's a real problem. That's my point on that. So now let's go on to, what else you talk about in there.
I think, that
what are the benefits?
benefit?
Yeah, what are the benefits end users for the pre-save? Well, we'll just discuss that. I think nobody, because it doesn't really work. Definitely a box of chocolates. Your track just ends up in the user's saved songs somewhere. How often do you browse through your saved songs? Well, I do. I travel a lot, so I do in my travels. I do go to my saved, songs. I'm pretty big on that kind of thing, but I always have been, whether it be Spotify or whether it was the old Apple or whatever. So for me, I do get a big usage out of that because I'm pretty particular what I listen to. And so...
And me too.
So, yeah, I use that a bit, the old saved.
Yep.
I presume younger people are always looking for new music, so it's all about the new one and they don't give a damn. Who does benefit, though? Your distributors who happily gather up all those emails. Now, that one there, I don't get that a lot. Your distributors who happily gather up all those emails. So... what are they referring to there? Are they referring to the aggregators, or are they referring to, I don't know, or you're talking to your DSPs, digital service providers, like Spotify? So, okay, is it them they're referring to that are getting these email addresses and then they're using those email addresses? Well, we all know that there's a few things here, is that websites, unless you're selling widgets, are useless. A website is good for an artist if an artist is going to sell their own product on there. Now, let's not forget that Laneway Music is against all non-environmental forms of music distribution, and that means CDs and vinyl.
Yep.
All right. So we need to get that out of the way because people keep pushing it down my throat, and I keep going, well, it's unenvironmental. I mean, the realities of moving forward is we need to be environmentally conscious, and CDs are the number one scourge on society, and vinyl is number 2. So that's that. You can't sell me anything. They should just be banned, and that's that. So, so therefore, I'm not suggesting you sell those things, but everybody has a right to do it, and that. Remember, we live in a democracy, so I respect that more than anything. We don't live in all these countries around the world where democracy is a very obscured word, in this new frontier of the world of hypocrisy.
Yeah, interesting. You should say that because I don't think democracy is anything like what it was organised to be.
Exactly. Now, therefore, a website is still important if an artist was selling their own product, and even if they could sell their digital on there and they've organised that for downloads.
Can we just get back to the term distributors now? Is that, when I saw that, I thought your distributor would be the TuneCores or the platforms that you have to put your music into to get onto Spotify. Is that?
Well, I presume, because I was a bit confused like you.
Yeah, I need a bit more clarity over that, I think. Ash, if you're out there and listening.
Yeah. So, if that's the distributors you're referring to, okay. But why are the email addresses so important still when websites aren't as important? So the Laneway Music website is a piece of crap in a sense because it is simply there just to tell people, here's who are on Laneway Music. It doesn't do any more than that.
Yeah.
It actually serves as a bit of a B2B for artists, business to business, because they're the business. It's not really a consumer thing. Who would come to the Laneway Music website to look at who's on our roster? It's really not important. They don't look at that. So a website for us is just not important. But it can be for an artist if you're selling, like you.
Yeah.
For you, it's quite powerful. So is an email address still powerful for Laneway Music? Well, I would suggest to you yes. Because if I go to robboundy.com and all your other websites, it is very important for you. Still a very important, powerful form of marketing, direct marketing, whereas the website isn't so much. Do I really want to look around your website, Rob? Not really. But if you email me and say, my new book's out and I'm a real enthused drummer and I'm really following Rob Boundy, bang, I'm there, I'm buying it, whatever. Am I looking around your website? Probably not. I want to buy what I need to buy. So that your website,
essentially what my website is the
conduit to the sale.
Students.
Yeah.
And for the people that have bought my book, they can go there and there's a whole bunch of resources for there's heaps of resources there for students and people that bought the book.
Exactly.
And they sign up for a subscription, which comes free when you purchase the book for the first 12 months. And the back end in my website is massive as far as there's how many syllabuses there are and how many things that, it's a resource for students. And it's a particular market,
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very particular. So email addresses for you are powerful. They are. I think email addresses are powerful for anybody. So whoever has those email addresses, yes, they are sought after. But it's interesting how I equate email addresses with the old websites, and websites aren't that important anymore, especially in our business. I've got to talk about our business, and that's the music business. It's not important. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so gather up, those email addresses, they pre-save them, and yada, yada, yada. I agree with that, and you've paid your distributor, so you go into there, and I presume because he said you've paid your distributor, I think you're right, they're referring to is it DistroKid and all those things, right?
TuneCore.
Where you pay a subscription to put your music up, and that's what they are. They're a straight aggregator. So, they can use all of that stuff. We take it back, though, to, about Spotify. And so what we're looking at with Spotify is that nobody knows. Nobody knows anything because you can't audit them. You don't know, they say too that they'll decide if you put your song on rotation at home, so you create a little playlist and you play it 20 times a day, well, they can ping that. You don't know whether they do, you don't know whether they don't.
What do you mean by ping it?
Well, they could restrict the amount of streams. So if you streamed it 20 times a day for 20 days, so it's 400, they might only show 100 streams because they say essentially you're botting it. It's a bot doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, because they've got to pick up bots too, because we did discuss in that our last discussion that, there could be, that thing where some people are suggesting money laundering and playlists or artists that are getting millions of streams via bots. So, Spotify needs to combat that kind of stuff. But once again, we don't know what Spotify does. We don't know what Apple does. We don't know what Google does. We don't know what Facebook does. I can tell you right now, I've spoken about this in the past, that AI is taking off over all platforms. And so when Google used it before Facebook, and we got terrible results once they implemented AI into Google for our paid campaigns where we market you, the artist. And then they got it right, and so our campaign started working again. We then went to Facebook. Our campaigns started not working there. So we knew AI had been implemented and they were testing, and our campaigns were worthless. All we were doing is spending money, getting no results. So then we get to another round of AI with Google. So Google starts, giving us real crap results. But we're finding that our meta results are fantastic. Then we get, and this is the stuff we have to deal with every week. It's changing every month. And then we get Meta, who are now combating YouTube. They want to become a YouTube, and I can give you really specific examples. And they want video form, so they've started a virtual video channel and playlists that you can put on. They've started that, and what happened was we started getting massive results organically, not paid campaigns, organically on Facebook, because obviously they want video content, places like Laneway Music, we have 2,000 pieces, a lot more that we haven't even released yet. And so we're quite big, and so they push us out. So we were getting massive results. Then it all stopped. I started putting some up, and we're getting really crap results. So then I go over to YouTube, and the whole circle starts again. This is continually happening with AI. There is a new monetisation, I suppose, help or monetisation helping hand that's come up on YouTube, announced today or yesterday, that they are now getting, if you get pinged where, they say it's limited for monetisation, that you can get a human to review it. Now that's a first, because they've been using AI for at least the last 4 or 5 months, and it's been a disaster. And so they're getting you can get it assessed by a human. Whether you can resubmit it after you've fixed it when you find out why they did it is another question. But you start to see what's happening. So we got AI involved in all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's squashing everything. So I take it back to what you discussed first and about pre-saves. Well, is AI involved, or is it human involved, or is it not happening at all? It's just there for the sake of them having it there. None of us know, but what we do know very clearly to everybody out there is if you're playing your artists about 3 times a week, a song of theirs, so you might have 20 artists that you like, and you put them into a playlist and you play that playlist, 20 times a week or whatever, which is fair enough. You might listen to it every day or twice a day. I do, to a song I like. It will then come up on your personal release radar each week. So it could be each week with a release radar. It's usually Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And those artists, if they release something new, will come up on there. But that's to you. Do we know that it will come up on other release radars? I don't think so. I can't tell you for sure, but I don't think it does. I think it only does if you've been listening to them regularly. So if I only listen to them once a week, I don't even know if they pick it up on that. So,
yes, my release radar, I'm looking at it on Spotify, it's not even really relevant to what I listen to.
But you need to listen. So I know that if I listen to Virgin Soldiers at least 3 times a week, maybe 4 or whatever, and you have a new song coming out, I know it will come up on my release radar, because I keep a track of this stuff, and So, but you got to play it. It might not be once or twice. You got to be quite a few times for the week. And you've got to do it over a sustained period of time so that it goes, well, you're a real fan, and therefore they're going to let you know when that happens. But that's to you. So if you don't have that as an artist, have a fan base that's big enough, it doesn't mean a lot. Organic algorithm, an artist or a song coming up on an organic algorithm play on Spotify is probably what you want. So it just gets picked up, and for why it's popular music or it's a song that they think. But how does that algorithm work? I don't know. Nobody knows.
See, I've got one of the songs that's come up on mine is Stone Trip's new single, which is Beautiful You. So,
yeah.
I listen to Stone Trip more than 3 times a week.
Yeah, so you listen to them quite a lot, so it's definitely come up on your release radar, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
But then the next one after that is Long Distance Runaround by Yes.
Yeah, well, hold on. Well, they're going to try and match this stuff, right, to the genre.
So they're guessing at what they think I'm going to like.
Yeah, well, on a genre. So it's what we ingest in there, and we're allowed to put 2 genres against any artist, right? So it's what we put in there. So if Stone Trip have put classic rock and then rock, then it's going to get picked up with Yes. So they're going to think there's a new Yes song. And there is, because they've just done some new work.
So it comes down to the distinction of what you tag
your
style as?
Absolutely. So what do I tag?
Or your genre, sorry.
Well, tell me, what are you going to tag Virgin Soldiers as?
Classic rock, hard rock, Australian rock,
pub
rock.
I would put it as rock and then hard rock, or it can be classic rock. There is no doubt about it. Of course, back in the day, it would have been hard rock. In today's climate, it's just hard rock or classic rock. So, yeah, that's where I would tag it. I wouldn't tag it as alternative in the least. It's not alternative. No. It can be tagged as rock and rhythm and blues, because your music is quite distinctly English. I don't consider it American. Quite distinctly English, and that real pub rock English, around Free and all those bands, and even early Judas Priest, which all had rhythm and blues in it. They're considered rhythm and blues rock bands. So you got to be careful.
Would you put Status Quo in that?
What's that?
That Status Quo.
I'd definitely I'd put them into rock, rhythm and blues.
Yeah. I mean, they're really heavy boogie.
Yeah. Because there isn't a boogie tag, you see. That's the problem.
Yeah. I was all over Apple Music because I've used it basically ever since it came out. And I still use that way more than I use Spotify. So I don't know whether that makes me, inept to discuss this whole subject of Spotify, because as we talk about each week, Spotify seems like the enemy. So the least I support it, the better it is. But, in saying that, Laneway Talks is on Spotify. Is it on Apple Music? I don't know.
Yes, it is. It should be on everything. The thing with Apple Music is we all know in the industry it's old, it's clunky, they haven't developed it. Nobody knows anything about the back end and how they do anything.
Yeah.
So
I can put all of my own material on it.
Yeah.
And play it, whereas Spotify, I'm not sure, because I've got a list of playlist and workable songs that I'm doing with different artists.
Yeah.
That I listen to continually, so I need to get access to them on my phone or on my computer, and Apple Music just works for me. I've never really investigated. Can I do that on Spotify?
What? Look up who? Look up.
Can I take music off my hard drive that I've saved and play it through the Spotify medium?
Oh, no. Hold on. No, there's a difference. Now you're referring to iTunes. iTunes was the platform where you can do what you're just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apple Play is what Spotify is, and you cannot do that on Apple Play.
Okay.
All right? So you're now referring to the old clunky iTunes, which is very similar to the old clunky Microsoft Media Player, where you could rip your CDs and all that kind of stuff. So
it's just Apple Music. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, that's right. They refer to it as that now, but in the old days, it was referred to as iTunes, and that's where you could you could rip your music and whatever. Apple Play is your Spotify, your digital service provider. Two different things.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So look, I think that's the answer to those questions. I think it still comes down to who knows what's going on Spotify. Nobody. So
nobody. Yeah.
With all that, what the good news is that we are about to release. It will be either the 15th of June will be Laneway Red, or the 30th of June. We will decide that on the 8th of June. As we have a board meeting. On the 8th of June, we'll decide, is it the 15th or is it the 30th? We're just in some final readjustments to the program to cater for performing rights organisations like AMCOS, and it's because we've now got them involved, and so it's moved the platform to a little bit of a different level in that we can, if you're from Australia, New Zealand or the Pacific, you can give us any song you want, cover song, whatever. So that means we can play Virgin Soldiers Come Together on there, okay? And we can sell that.
Right.
Whatever. So that put a bit of a spanner in the works, re the programming, in the reporting and who we have to pay, because then we've got to pay APRA for publishing. But these are all good things, and there's a lot of support there. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, we will do a very soft launch for 90 days. Nobody probably even know it's up, while we make sure that are there any more bugs in there that we haven't found, because there's a lot of bugs that come out in your testing. And so that's a really good thing. Now, the thing with that is that it's going to be very transparent. The algorithms for playing will be around those very straightforward who gets the most plays. And what is good about that is because it pushes the artist to get to their audience or their friends and their friends. And let's go back to what we just spoke about with Spotify and with the pre-release and release radar. And as I said, you need to get it to your friends to listen to, and they need to listen to it regularly each week, and they need to push their friends and get it out to them and to listen to it regularly. But we don't know how Spotify really does anything. But with Laneway Red, it will be based on that. So it pushes you, the artist, to get it out. And if you're getting the streams, you will get pushed more, right, up at the front. which is the way it should be, because that is the only form of deciding how popular the band is. You can't tell me it's good music, because if nobody's listening to it, well, how do I know it's good music? I might like it and call it good, but nobody else does. So it needs to get out there. Very straightforward. Of course, within there, you, the artist, will be able to market directly to anybody that's either playlisted your song, listened to your song, commented on your song, bought your song. As long as they're a member and there is a email address there, you can directly go out to them. So now we get to that direct marketing of email, and what I said, that was the powerful thing. It's amazing how emails have remained extremely powerful in direct form of marketing, as opposed to, Rob, Facebook and Google and Threads and Insta and TikTok and all of that. But that email address is just as powerful as anything still. It's a beacon of lights which tells you, there's something new out, and you get it. And you usually look at your emails and you either put them in the block list if they're spam, or you keep them if you go, I want to get these. And so if someone doesn't block them, that means they want to see who's coming out, who's new and whatever on that platform. So that's going to happen. It's imminent now, so we're really excited about that. We're really excited that APRA AMCOS are with us. We'll be able to provide a lot more of, all our material online. Also, if you go, I wanted to bring up, and I get emails from all the festivals. So I'm very specific, do you use the old block? I have, we use McAfee across all our computers. Everybody has to have McAfee on. We put it on. It's a pain in the butt because it can block things you don't want blocked and whatever. And it comes up and drives you insane with their marketing. But we put it on everything. I don't know if you use the block feature on whatever you use to block, spam. I'm very particular about what I get. I get a lot of the festivals. Here's one, the Country Music Festival, Saturday the 28th of October. Tickets from $54. And these are the artists they're advertising. Lee Kernaghan, Casey Chambers, Brad Cox and Becky Cole. Any new artists in there for you?
No.
Geez, they go back a bit, don't they? Lee Kernaghan, Casey Chambers.
A little bit.
I mean, is there anybody new there? Oh, that's fantastic. That's what they've got to offer. They've been around from day dot. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, but just to go back to what we continually talk about week after week, is that it's all the older pump up my super generation, just regurgitating the same old things. I mean, everyone's got a gig. I get that and I understand that, but they're just rehashing the same old.
I agree with you. This gets back to the funding too, in that where's the funding going? Now, a lot of these festivals will be getting funded now by the government because, in quotes, we need to save all these festivals because they're culturally important, like not.
Did you see the email I sent you about funding?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Seriously, mate, I'm not going to go near any funding because, I don't know, I've given up in that area. So, but they say that, we've got to save these festivals. Well, they're commercial enterprises. Well, they can save themselves, for Christ's sake. What I want is grassroots development for grassroots bands who, if you're not in the know and you don't get a promoter or an agency looking after you, you virtually have no hope of getting out and getting the gigs and getting the exposure. We need to help those bands because there's a lot of good ones. So it's about pure grassroots. Once you're up at this level at festivals, well, I don't see that we should be giving them 10 cents. It either can work or it can't work.
Yeah, I noticed when I was looking at the 11 chain of comments this morning that Ash was saying about not promoting your gig 3 months before the gig because everyone's forgotten about it by the time it comes around. So have you got any comment on what timeline you should have if you've got a gig coming up? Should it be a month, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months? What?
Definitely, mate. If you're a big artist, you've got no problem. It can be a year out.
Yeah, but we're talking about
grassroots. I wouldn't do it at under a month. I'd go at around a month and promote it from then on. because I agree. It totally, people just forget about it. There's too much happening in life with your mobile phone and whatever else, and it just gets forgotten. So no, a month before, I wouldn't do it any longer than that for a local act playing at a local venue, who might pull 100 people or 200 people or 250. Different once you get to, let's use 350 as the litmus test for, are you a grassroots artist or have you now established an audience? That's 350 to me.
350?
So, if you can pull 350, you're doing well.
Yep.
And therefore, you could probably do that 2 months, 3 months out.
Yep.
So something else that's come up too. We put up our videos of Virgin Soldiers on YouTube, and that was kind of it. You could put shorts and whatever onto Facebook now. Now Facebook, as I was referring to earlier, are in competition with YouTube, so I can put your full video up on YouTube, and it's working well. I can put it up on Instagram now. I think the maximum 70... No, that's on Threads. It might have been... No, that was Twitter. Maximum 75 meg and 140 seconds, right? So just over 2 minutes, which kind of suits, I think, so we just adjust accordingly. And then you got Threads, and now TikTok are talking about doing 60... They're trialling 60-minute videos and live videos. Isn't that interesting? So what's becoming evident from all this, and LinkedIn, obviously, we do LinkedIn also for the woke society of the world, and if you go in and have a look, you can put videos in there too. So what's becoming...
Does that make me woke?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You look in there, nobody says anything angry in there.
I keep looking for jobs, but I can't find one.
Nobody said... Yeah, they had the jobs in there. I've said, don't send me jobs, right? And I keep getting that email from LinkedIn, and I keep going, unsubscribe, it doesn't work, and I keep getting all these jobs that come up. They're the worst jobs in the world. Oh, mate, you have to torch me. There you go there. Anyway, so what's becoming evident is that videos are becoming absolutely, I think, more important than audio. And I think with the extra bandwidth that comes with phones and with homes and with anything, tablets, TVs, and I use bandwidth, that you can now watch a video or you can listen to a video. Notice I say that. You can either watch it or listen to it. Say you're on the train. Yeah. And videos are becoming far more powerful than the audio-only delivery. And that's by everybody now wanting to push it. It's obviously a bandwidth issue that has now been broken, so it's no problem. We can watch these on any platform, and they're pushing the boundaries of it's no longer 30 seconds or whatever. You had Shorts or you had YouTube. Well, now, you got it across everything. So I found that's being pushed now quite a lot. And as I said, TikTok are just trialling it now. So there you go. And, all these players are paying money. They will advertise around it. That's a good thing for all musicians all round. So I think there's a lot happening with TikTok about to stream concerts and all that kind of stuff. So I think we get back to, with artists, before we finish up today, I think we get back to that artists, if they have a plan, we discussed this probably 9 weeks ago. If you sit down as an artist and have let's say a 2-year plan, minimum 12 months, but a 2-year plan, where you are to do social media every day to release product we use 6 weeks, and that you are to follow that regimen, that you can get success on a level. Then whether you can springboard from that success to a bigger level where, let's say it's you getting to the 350 that you can pull to any gig you play at, that's another question. But you can definitely get success. And all these platforms that are bringing in all these new ways of you using socials to promote yourself are just more power in the hands of the indie artist. I saw a comment that said, indie, listeners down, income up. Then it had industry. Income down, listeners up. Get it?
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's really relevant, is that the tools are now there for indies to do things themselves. I think still always very exciting. We've got some new artists also that I wanted to say that we brought on to Laneway Music in the last month, and that's Mississippi Shakedown, a really great blues rock artist, Jeff Cripps out of Queensland. We've got Quincy McLean and the Smooth Bastards coming out, which is Quincy from Blue Ruin. Remember Blue Ruin?
I do, yeah.
Right. Hopefully we will get Blue Ruin in the not too distant future. So we've got Quincy's other project, and it is just unbelievable quality, just great stuff. We've got Brando Rising, who we've just released and doing really well, which is, wow, if you have a look on there, guys, from quite a lot of bands, quite sizable bands. And just talking to a new female artist who is more a rock-based guitarist, I would say, lead guitarist, and I'm blown away, who's got very little material out, very little, virtually nothing. Not young, in a stretch of the imagination, not young, and I was just blown away by the quality and whatever. So that's on its way too. Hopefully we'll secure that deal shortly, and we'll get her material out, which she has like well over 100 songs. So really in that rock genre or country rock genre, and really good lead guitarist. So I'm really excited about that too. So what that tells you is that there's still a lot happening, Rob. Of course, we're working around Virgin Soldiers. You and me are doing quite a lot of work there in the background, and it takes time to get these things done. And there is Rob Boundy material too, which we're working on, which again, hopefully we can get to in the next couple of months, because we need to get a vocal, correct?
Yeah, well, I was talking with Michael Hill last night. I know you've been trying to get contact with Michael because we're collaborating together, and we've got a gig coming up in about 6 weeks where we're showcasing half a dozen tunes that we've both written, either independently, Michael's songs or my songs. So, and we're actually doing a Virgin Soldiers song. We're doing Danger in the Night, and Michael's going to be singing that. So, that's exciting, because I was doing the set list before and looking at, I know you've heard one of Michael's songs or a couple of Michael's songs, but there's a few more there that, interestingly, you're saying about country rock, and that sort of genre. So a little bit more indie, I suppose, I think was what you termed it as when you listen to it. Nick Barker.
And that's really
Nick Cave, sorry.
That's really important, because I say to everybody we talk to at Laneway Music, if you've got an indie feel to you, an indie edge, there's always, it doesn't matter what age bracket you're in, you have an opportunity to get some listeners. If you're in the mainstream contemporary, let's call it contemporary country, you haven't got a hope, I don't think. It's all about, they'll push all their young people. The ones that are there, like the Becky Coles and the Lee Kernigans, well, they're there. I mean, once you've been big in that kind of area, but that applies to rock too. You can't become I don't think you can become a popular rock artist if you're 50 onwards. Not a chance. But what you can do, if you've got an indie edge to it, you can definitely build an audience. Now, that applies to alternative country rock, alternative indie blues, all that. It doesn't matter if you're 70. You can still build an audience. There is no audience barrier, but there is for contemporary style in those genres. So we're still talking to it. There's so many artists out there. It's how many we can take and how many we can concentrate. And what we can do with that material too, how we can market that. So I've got some on, YouTube. We've just done 100,000 views or streams or whatever. That's great, but it doesn't translate across to Spotify. And then someone will say, well, what are you worrying about Spotify? Well, at the moment I have to worry about it, because that's the number one platform for audio. You'll make very little money, but it is, it's about getting popularity, and then you're being able to do that, then goes across to live gigs. Laneway Red will hopefully change a lot of that.
Yep.
And then we're getting some great results on Facebook, whether it be with campaigns or with organic. So some of the stuff we put up, some of our chain stuff, has got phenomenal. It might get, 10, 20,000 views, but it may
I watched
have...
that last night.
Right, well, it may... Some of them, you go back and have a look, have got 500 shares. It might have 1,000 likes or the like, but 500 shares, that is just enormous. I mean, that's what you want. That's viral for you.
Absolutely. I mean, Matt and Phil and the boys, that Black and Blues, the one I watched last night, I think that's the My Music Bowl one.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
such a great act.
And you see, we've put up some of the Virgin Soldiers. Okay, not doing as well, but that's what we've got to keep pushing, right?
Well, in saying that, we've got the new video coming out for Power Hungry.
Yeah.
I've been spending a fair bit of time on that and talking to Gib and Jeff, and Mick's just got back from overseas, so he's doing his bass part. So.
What's the other song we're working on for you too with that?
Another Way.
Now, that Another Way, that's been worked on, and the editor is doing some, they've shown me a couple of what they're doing, and some amazing stuff. They're doing some animation, cartoon animation, over the top of the footage, because the vision that we got is poor, because it goes back 30 years. And, old tube cameras or VHS and whatever. So to try and fix that, they're putting animation on top of that. It's amazing stuff. I think it's going to look fantastic. All right.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of videos coming for Virgin Soldiers. There is a new Bullet Tram song coming. It's just getting approved in the next 24 hours. Bullet Tram being Kent Steedman from the Celebrate Rifles and Simon Chainsaw and myself, of course. And then there's a new Deep South, which is Kent Steedman again, Craig Bloxon from Spies, Anna Carril out of Spain, and me on drums. And so there's a lot of stuff happening. So we just keep it all rolling out, and hopefully next week I will be able to give a lot more news on Laneway Red and where we're heading, because then I think we go to our board meeting to try and go, right, are we ready to go? And I'll then be able to give you access, Rob, to have a look around and give us some comments back, okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Okay.
Looking forward. It's exciting.
You got anything else to talk about, or are we wrapping it up for the day?
As I said, I've just been working on Power Hungry and the video for that, which has been intense, because how we used to, or how we write in the Virgin Soldiers is very challenging music. So, to essentially relearn it, to be able to play the videos, to perform in the videos has been, taking up a lot of my time at the moment too.
All right, mate. Okay, we shall talk to you next week. It's been a pleasure as per usual.
Yeah, thanks, Vince. Great to talk.
Thanks, Rob. Bye.
And there it is, another Laneway Talks.